Hi, everybody. We're going to go ahead and just let some more folks in. I know you usually hear David do the introduction, but I'm excited to welcome everybody. I think we're going to have a small group today, but that's okay. We're going to get through some great stuff, some updates. I'm Emily Calandrianis. I'm the Director of Development and Partnerships for Skyline, and hopefully you see me in a bunch of the community things and the coaches calls. And with me today, I have my awesome colleagues, Ashley Dodge, the Director of Operations for Skyline, and then I have two awesome engineering staff folks. We have Jen Langdon and we have Caitlin Jones, and they're going to be sharing a little bit about the wrap up for the season. And of course, here if you have any questions. So for today, we're going to do a little bit of a Spirit Week recap. We're going to also give you a little bit of information about Giving Tuesday that's happening on December 2nd. We do have a question that was submitted for the engineer question of the month. And then we're going to do a very brief fall 2025 competition season review. Jen's going to go ahead and lead that. And we have other folks on the call that if you have any questions, they'd be happy to help with. And then we will just leave with some Q&A for whatever we all can help with before we wrap up before Thanksgiving. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start talking a little bit about Spirit Week. Hopefully you all were able to join us live or you registered to receive the recording of the events. We had a really fantastic week of career-focused events for the students. All the events are recorded and they are available on the Skyline YouTube channel. That's the QR code as well as the link. We'll go ahead and put that in the chat. And also remember that when we do the coaches call summaries, we put all these links in that email as well. So if you're not able to grab them right now. So just a quick recap of the events that we had. Last Monday, we had the Mission Ready Translating NCL Experience into Real World Impact. That was a really cool panel of former NCL players as well as former NCL coaches. And they were really just talking about what life is like now having a cyber role. And just the transition from being an NCL competitor to now working in industry. Costas Torregas, one of the NCL board members, was the MC for the event. So I definitely encourage you or to have your students rewatch the event if you weren't able to watch it live. Some really great information and some inspiring conversations as well. Then we had on Wednesday the individual and team game challenge walkthrough, where we had Skyline engineering staff review and go over some of the individual and team challenges. And we also had Dylan Watson from CrowdStrike join us to have that authentic connection to real world scenarios and what it would look like as somebody who works at CrowdStrike. Once again, really great conversation. Dylan always brings some really fresh perspectives and some really cool touch points for students. And then on Thursday, we had the From Passion to Profession Cyber Career Journey event. Our very own Jen Langdon was the MC for the event, and we had some really great presenters who were able to share kind of like a day in the life, their journey of how they got into their roles. And then we had some really great audience questions as well. So all of those are available for you to watch at your leisure. And then the last event we had last week was actually one of the most exciting events we had every Spirit Week, the award ceremony, where we identified and congratulated the top individuals and teams, as well as the entire NCL community for a job well done for the fall. And we had John Hammond as our guest keynote speaker. And he just had some really wonderful things to share. If you weren't able to join us Friday evening, totally understood. But I absolutely recommend that you take a few minutes to watch the recording. He talked for about 15 minutes. He shared some really great insights, but also shared about kind of his own journey on working with CTFs and what it looked like to kind of like before he was in industry space and what it looks like now being in the industry space. So I absolutely recommend that you watch these events whenever you have some time, maybe when you're on your Thanksgiving break. But some really good information and inspiring information specifically for students. And we hope to keep encouraging them to pursue cyber careers. So we'll see you all next season for Spirit Week in the spring. We'll be coming up with new events and hopefully some fresh content that gets everybody excited about wrapping up the next season. All right, and I had kind of alluded to this just a few minutes earlier. On December 2nd, it's going to be the National Day of Giving, Giving Tuesday. We are creating a fundraising event to get free registration waivers for students in need for the spring competition season and for future competition seasons. Our goal is $2,000, so we're hoping to help some students break down that barrier of a financial cost to the upcoming competition seasons. No donation is too small. And I truly want to say if you can give $1, $5, $20, anything is fantastic and very much appreciated. It goes directly into and back into the National Cyber League community. We do have outreach that's been going out leading up to the event. You're going to see that continuing on LinkedIn as well as email outreach. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. You can wait until December 2nd to donate, or you can donate now. So that QR code right there will take you to the donation page. And once again, we'll continue to be promoting this. Also, feel free to share this if you have friends, family, colleagues that you think would like to donate to the NCL. Always very much appreciated. And if you donate $100 or more, we do send you an NCL t-shirt. So that's a little bit of an incentive. And we just appreciate sharing the word about Giving Tuesday. We understand not everyone is in a position to give, and that's totally and absolutely fine. But giving word of mouth to this fundraiser would be very much appreciated. And we really just want to get as many students as we can to the competition and have them really be a part of the community. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause for a moment. I'm going to see if we have any questions in the chat about the things that I shared, just to double check. Oh, and I apologize. I just see we also have Trevor Nelson from the engineering team was with us, and that's actually perfect for the segue. So welcome, Trevor. Sean, so when will regional results from fall 2025 NCL competition be posted accessible? Does anyone know on the team? Does anyone have that answer when regional results will be available?
Yeah, I can actually take this question. We are working on it. I am seeing our team work on it at this very moment, and we are hopeful to get it out by tomorrow. Our goal would be to have it by Friday. At the very latest, it will be Monday.
Terrific. Thanks, Ashley. All right, so now we're going to transition. If you have any questions while I'm talking, please feel free to put them in the chat. But we're going to transition now to our coach question submission for our Cyber Skyline engineers. A reminder, each month, Cyber Skyline engineers will join us for the coach's call to answer coach questions. You can use the link. We'll put it in the chat, but you can use the link or the QR code to submit your question. Please submit it at least 1 week before so we can go ahead and prep and get the folks who are on the call with us ready. And the question for this month, and then I will open it up to our engineer folks, can we set up some small mini challenges for the coaches? So whoever would like to answer that or get that conversation started, please feel free.
Okay, so I guess I can get this started a little bit. So the full extent of the question was about coaches being able to participate similarly to the students. So as coaches, you don't pay, but you do actually have access to the challenges and stuff through your own portal. You're just listed as an unranked player. So if you want to go do those or the practice games, you do have access to those. Jen, do you want to comment on anything with potential future endeavors in this?
I just know that, it might be a possibility in the future. I don't know if it will be a possibility in the future that coaches would, though I do understand, like, for some coaches, you want to, I guess, have your own set of challenges. We do, or we will have, what am I trying to say? An area on our platform where we can kind of take things to another level that we're working on, and coaches could be a part of that. But we don't have anything set up particularly, especially for coaches, if that makes sense.
Great. Thanks, guys. And so like Caitlin said, you do have access to the season. You're just going to be an unranked member. So those are already created. The challenges are new every season. So that's a great way for you to test your skill set, and hopefully that kind of satisfies that. I think part of the reason why we're like, well, maybe in the future is we're a small team. Our bandwidth sometimes is very much soaked up by, different things. So by having coaches be able to do the competition season alongside their students is probably how we can satisfy that now. But in the future, there may be a possibility to do something else or to have some of our other products that might work. Thank you, guys. All right, so quickly, Jen, before we get to you, we'll do a little bit of a competition season overview. We did have a couple of questions. So Tony's question, and I don't know who on the team can answer this, so whoever wants to, great. Prior to start of the competition, there are issues with creating teams. Can coaches have the ability to move individual players into teams?
Right now, we have it such that the teams manage themselves. Because there can be issues with the coaches also making the teams. And also that way the students also have the ability to manage themselves, which is something that we do want them to be able to do. I'm not sure what the particular issues setting up the teams are in terms of like the students are unable to complete the task or the students won't do the task of creating a team, in which case, I would encourage them to create the teams, or you walk them through and hold their hand to do it.
All right, so it sounds like there's a couple things. There's a last minute, they had 3 teams, not including 5 individuals. Sometimes they miss the meeting and the invite. That sounds more of like a internal thing. Not necessarily like a meeting that you all had, or I assume. I think these may be just some one-offs. I do know that if you're having an issue with a team and there are things that maybe you need to be able to kind of switch people in and out, I know our team is able to help if you submit a ticket. Typically, though, there are some functionality components that were created recently where you're able to see who's on the team, who's able to be like listed if the students are setting themselves up. But I don't believe we're going to be having the functionality that coaches will be setting up teams. I know there's other organizations that do that, but I believe we're going to continue having the students be able to sign themselves up. And then you can reach out to our team if there's an issue with that. We can do our best to make sure those rosters are tight and ready to go. Does that sound right for everybody on the team? Did I say that correctly?
Yes, it is important to remember that we are trying to teach, these students professional behaviors, and some of that is taking personal responsibility for setting up their team. So that's just one more step that they're learning about.
So John had a question. Would there be a way to see if someone is not part of the team? Like what the view is to see who is and who isn't?
Yeah, like if your advisee view, we could look at it and say, okay, these people added to the team, these people were not, because maybe you missed somebody, or they didn't get the invite, and you can kind of hound them a little bit just to get on the team because you forgot to do it. Yes, I know I agree with the personal responsibility part, but also some of these are 18 years old and right out of high school, so they still need a little bit of hand-holding. I think there's a difference between a college freshman and a college senior with how much hand-holding they need, and I think that's part of the issue, especially I'm in a community college, so I have 18 and 19-year-olds I'm dealing with for the most part.
I know, I used to teach middle school. It's like herding cats. The way that you would see if someone's not part of the team is that they are still on their own individual team. So they would just be one person in the column. That's how I've been kind of tracking it on the coach's view. That they wouldn't be in a group, they would be all by themselves, and that's kind of how you manage that. I understand a lot of you have different size teams, so that may be more difficult to track for somebody else than somebody has like 10 people, in which case it's like, oh yeah, extremely obvious who is and is not on a team.
Also, another thing to think about is with all the K-12, like the K-12 push that especially David's been putting out forth, high school kids, like high school teachers may want to have or may need to control who's on what team rather than them doing it themselves.
John, I totally get it. And we do work with a couple of schools in cases like that where there are high school teachers that they need all of their students to be on the same team. And so you can always submit a support ticket, or you can send me an email at contact@cyberskyline.com, and I can help you through this. Any coach that is looking for their team rosters, if you go into your coaching dashboard and then you can select in the drop-down team events, and you can see each team name and what users are actually on that team. And like Jen said, if there's only one person on that team, that means that they didn't sign up, or they had only created a team for themselves, or they were placed on one because they missed the deadline to set up.
Okay, great. Thank you. Got a thumbs up from John. Wonderful. All right, so now we're going to go into a little bit of the fall competition season review. Jen, I'm going to hand it to you.
Cool. If you could just advance me one slide. Yep. There we go. Our season review, it's more like kind of like, an overview. We had over 7,800 individual players play and actually submit a question or a response, and the 318,000 plus were correct. So that's awesome. Over 1,270 teams, 188 questions for this team game, over 121.8 correct submissions. I want to highlight some countless incorrect submissions manufactured by AI. We can kind of see that. It's very obvious in many cases on the back end that they were putting into an AI agent, literally copy pasting and then submitting that as the response, and there was no verification. So I want to highlight that so that way, as coaches that might be something to coach them up on, is to teach them how to verify that the AI submission or whatever it gave back to you is actually valid. And then we also had our first mainframe hacking challenge, which was very cool. And it accounted for a lot of the additional questions for the team game. And yeah, that's kind of our overview. I do see some questions here. I don't know if you want me to field those.
Sure, if you don't mind, I can also read them out loud, but you can feel free to just scrolling up and down.
Yeah, so we have any idea the increase of participants since spring or fall? There was an increase from fall 24 to spring, I recall. We might had a drop in players for this season. I think there might be a lot of factors for that. I know we're also seeing a drop in college students in general, just attending school. So there could be some correlation there. We're honestly not entirely sure. But I don't have the exact numbers for those exactly right now. So yeah, the mainframe challenge was for the team game. So yeah, we had a lot of questions for that to kind of make sure that players were kind of walked through what to look for to a certain extent. So that was really to make sure that they had some help along the way to complete the challenge, since it was very new to our competition this year. All right, Em.
Yeah, and we had a couple of comments from John and Mark that there was a lot less enthusiasm this year than in previous years from new students. And I would say across the board for anything that touches a student, whether for the NCL community or for other things, it's just been, that's how it's been this past season, just generally speaking of the timing. Less people are doing extra things. There's been some enrollment pullback from different community colleges and universities. So I think everyone's kind of seeing a dip in just enthusiasm, just in general, and that also means registration. So it's not an isolated incident. I think it's just the wave of the times right now. We always have a goal for every season, and as Jen said, from fall of last year to spring of this year, there was an increase. And then we saw a slight decrease from spring to fall of this year. It wasn't drastically bad, but we had anticipated there were going to be some a little bit of fallout from just things that are environmentally happening, I think, for all of us. But typically, also the fall typically has a few less students because of other competitions and things that happen around the same time. As you all know, that the deadlines for different competition weekends typically fall on the same dates in the fall, and then we typically see more in the spring. That's just kind of the nature of how the wave works for the NCL. Yeah, there's just it's hard to have a lot of enthusiasm sometimes, John, especially if there's a lot going on just in the world in general, which is not an excuse. It's more of like an explanation, I think. But yeah, understood, and it's felt from everywhere. But we did have some really great, like Jen had mentioned, great submission, just like great submissions, the accuracy that we saw, the points that were made throughout the competition, though, was really exciting, and it invigorated us putting this together for everybody. And we just keep going. We keep creating the opportunities to have the community, to support the players, to increase motivation and encouragement the best that we can. And I think that's all we can really do, is try to be very positive and to keep creating these opportunities and hope that students are getting some really great takeaways from them. With that being said, are there any questions? We were going to have a short and sweet coaches call this week, especially since David's not here. He usually does like discussion questions and has us go through that, but we were going to do a little bit of a shorter session, especially coming up to the Thanksgiving holiday. We know a lot of folks aren't on today, but are there any questions that our team can help you with while we're on? And if anyone on the team has any last minute things they'd like to say, we'll take that time to have a little bit of time. Little bit of a buffer time, see if anyone has any questions. Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. He said, we're all good. Thanks to you and the team. Always a blast. Thank you. We work really hard. We really appreciate that comment. And we also appreciate the feedback and ways that we can improve. So thank you for that. Mike, we're not going to be doing any summer camps specifically for the National Cyber League, but we do have the lab kit, which can be used as a summer camp if you'd like to instruct a community group, or if you have students over the summer that would like to do a summer camp. We have 3 different versions of the lab kit for introduction, standard, and advanced levels. There is a cost associated to that, but that allows the students to have a gymnasium component as well as the CTF specifically for that group of students. If you want any more questions about that, the lab kits are going to range. So the kits are per group of students. There are for 50 students to utilize the kits. The introduction kit cost $1,000 for 50 students. That's about $20 per student. The standard kit is $1,500 for 50 students. The advanced kit is $2,000 for 50 students. So typically people use grant money if you're able to get that. Maybe you have a fundraiser. Maybe there's some money that you need to use that's been given to you by your principal or different school funds. But typically that is going to be our equivalent to a summer camp. We don't run them. You would go ahead and have 3 months of access. You're able to set the dates and the times that you'd like to do that. And Ashley dropped in the link for lab kit. We have a little bit of information on the webpage, but if you would like to speak with me personally, I can let you know more information to see if it'd be a good fit for you. So you're more than welcome to sign up for a time to speak with me, and we can definitely make sure it's going to be a good fit for you. Who was the Minecraft obsessed one for the questions? So engineering team, who is the Minecraft obsessed person?
I don't think there's anybody that obsessed with Minecraft. I know
it's a question from one of my students because they didn't see the movie and they were really annoyed.
I know I included a lava chicken picture, and I don't know that the other developer wants to be identified about the Minecraft movie, but yes.
There are times, so I think if you were here maybe oh, now it might be a couple years ago. There was like a Taylor Swift situation. So all of a sudden, like there are Taylor Swift questions. Like sometimes you just kind of hook onto something and then it kind of goes from there. Yes, Mike, the lab kit is 3 months of access. And so as we make it as flexible as possible. So you would be able to say when you would like it to start, when you would like it to end. Typically the gymnasium component of the lab kit is going to be the majority of it. And then the CTF component, you pick the dates, but that's typically going to be a few days, like 1 to 3 days at most would be the CTF, like the assessment portion of it. But yeah, please feel free to select a time to chat with me. I'm happy to walk through everything, show you demos of stuff. It looks exactly the same as the NCL competition in the sense of the platform. It's a Cyber Skyline platform. That's our secret sauce. And it has the same functionality. And we just are able to have different lanes for different levels for student learning. And it's also a great thing to use for like a lab. So for example, if your students, the timing for the competition season doesn't align with what you're teaching, you have the curriculum ready, you're looking for a hands-on lab, you can also use the lab kit for that as well, which will have the gymnasium, the tutorials, the challenges, and then it will have that CTF component. Always happy to talk about that. And we have some exciting stuff coming up for the lab kit in the next few months too. So we're definitely actively working to make that a really cool experience for educators as well as students. All right, folks. Well, it looks like that was our question portion. We will be having, oh, sorry, Tony, apologies, but will the 2000 level include all 3 levels? So it builds up. So yes, the content that's in the advanced is not necessarily going to have like a one-to-one. So it's not like we just take the intro, the standard advanced and squish them together, but there is going to be some content in the advanced that is going to be reflecting on some things that you would see in intro. There's going to be some things in advance that you'll see that are going to be reflected in standard, but we just don't hamburger it and give you everything. There's going to be more complex cyber skill sets and topics within advanced. So it's not necessarily the hamburger situation, but we do have some touch points to the intro and standard. Advanced really takes it up a notch. That's when Kali Linux gets involved, and that's going to be more of the more complex topics.
Yeah, you'll need some special tools with the highest level. Yeah.
Great questions. All righty, so our next coaches call will be the last one for the year, which is exciting and slightly daunting that we're at the end of the year. December 11th is going to be the coaches call. We're going to have it at 3 p.m. Eastern. David will be back, so hopefully we did okay without him. You know, he always is a little bit more kind of in tune with the coaches, and hopefully we're just giving you information that's very helpful. But if you have any questions for our team, please feel free to always reach out. We're here to help. We want to make sure it's a really wonderful experience for you and your students. We appreciate your time. Thank you for hopping on the coaches call. We will be sending the recap in a few days with this video, along with any links or anything you would need, as well as the deck, so you can peruse it at your leisure. And always reach out if we can help you anytime. I want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. This is a little bit cheesy, but we are incredibly grateful for you all, for your time and your commitment to your students, and for allowing us to continue to have a really great learning experience for your students, but also creating a really impactful community. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and thank you for my colleagues for joining, and we'll see you all next month. Thank you.